All right, welcome to our very first episode, very first podcast. This thing is so brand new, we don't even know what we're going to call it yet, so we'll have to figure that name out as we go. There's some things you just kind of figure out once you get started. I'm Lee Godbold. Appreciate you for checking us out on our channel, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're listening. A little background on me. I'm the owner of three businesses, Junk Removal Authority, Junk Doctors, and then a company, Specialty Truck Bodies, that actually sells trucks to the junk removal industry. All told, those businesses this year will do about $5 million in sales. We've got goals of about $10 million for next year. So we're very much an up-and-coming and growing company. Got three little small businesses, trying to kind of grow them to the next level, and going to enjoy having you guys along for that ride. Outside of work, I'm a pilot. I very much enjoy aviation. I've been doing it my entire life, so from time to time, we might kind of bring you guys on that journey as well. That's something I'm passionate about. That's something that drives me. Everybody's got to have these things that sometimes they're external or could be internal, whatever, something that drives you to get out there and try and achieve success. Stuff around aviation and all is just certainly one of mine. It's something we'll cover in here. Very passionate about self-improvement, learning. Right now, going through this book by Russell Brunson, .com Secrets. No, I'm not a sponsor. That just happens to be what we're working on. So we'll talk about things that I'm learning as we go throughout this also. Been married for, what's the years? It's 2025 years now. And, we'll kind of cover some of that stuff as we go throughout and kind of how you balance work and marriage. It's obviously something that, nobody's perfect at. I'm certainly not either, but we're going to cover my journey and hopefully you'll learn something from there. And I certainly have a belief that you don't really necessarily have to compromise on much in life, at least not long term. So yeah, you got to make short-term compromises, but if you determine what you want, what that is, you just got to figure out ways to go out and get it. And that's how I live my life. And when me and my wife start talking on something, she might want to do something. She's actually cheaper than I am, but if she wants to go out and actually do something or buy something, the answer is never no. It's all right, what do we have to do to get that money to do that? Or if we're going to spend the money now, how do we replace it? And that's the kind of stuff, it's kind of no compromise. And maybe we'll even call this podcast the No Compromise Podcast. We'll just see as we kind of get going, if that's not taken or not. So one of the things, I've made a ton of mistakes. So when you listen to a lot of these podcasts, you hear from these guys, and what they do is they always talk about how good they are and the things they've done right oftentimes. They never actually talk about the struggles and the things they did wrong. I'm a firm believer that I wouldn't be where I am now, or we aren't going to get to where we're going to go if I haven't had made the mistakes that were made in the past. So one of the things that I really have made mistakes on, and even to this day, sometimes you got to be careful, you might sort of struggle with, is kind of trying to do too much, expand too fast, push too hard. That's just something that, as an entrepreneur and as somebody that's really driven and somebody with dreams and goals, you're going to struggle with. And one of the things that I've really found is some of the largest mistakes I ever made was expanding too fast. With our junk removal company, we went into a second location way too soon. We were a year and a half into business. We had done probably at that point maybe $150,000, $200,000 in sales for that year, and all of a sudden I think, all right, it's time to expand into another area. But the problem is we hadn't yet perfected what we were doing. The systems we had in place were not ready. We didn't have the income to support potentially losing money. We were expanding too fast, trying to get it all done immediately. You can just about do anything that you want to do, but it's not necessarily you're going to do it all at once. There's got to be a process in place. You have to really enjoy that process. Times in the past, the mistakes I made was being a poor leader. I wouldn't necessarily follow through on everything that started. We get started, we get just a little bit in there, and we just release it. We would do it, and it would be just kind of really a half-assed job. And that's something that many entrepreneurs that are trying to move very quickly are going to struggle with, and I certainly did in the past. And sometimes you just wouldn't take long enough analyzing. There is a big thing in the entrepreneur community about just make decisions, get it done, move fast and everything, but sometimes that's not necessarily the case. You've got many people that I think they delay getting things done. They hesitate, they never start, and certainly that's a problem. But on the other end of the spectrum, something that's probably not talked about as much is the individuals, the entrepreneurs and all that start things too fast without thinking through, maybe not all the way to the end. I'm not saying one of those people saying you got to have, I'm certainly not one of those people saying you have to have every single little step and every single possibility thought out all the way through the end of your plan. But you should have a pretty good understanding and have given it some time to evaluate. One, is this something that I need to be focusing on right now? Two, what else could I be spending my time and attention on? And three, is the return, does the possible return outweigh the risk of going into this in this venture or working on what you want to work on? So that actually is going to be the kind of the topic of this very first episode. And not for any reason other than it's just something that's run through my head right now. We have a million opportunities that we could be doing at this very moment. We've got some operational shifts. So with Junk Removal Authority, it's a marketing and consulting company for the junk removal industry. And we've got some changes operationally with our Google Ads team and our marketing department on setting up an analysis team and then having some client success managers. In the past, we always just had a Google Ads manager. That'd be the person in touch with customers. One of the issues is now customers are talking to 4 different departments all at once. We want to consolidate that down to one person. And also we want a team of really smart people, which we have, but we want to allow them to spend the time in order to make sure that our customers are getting the most success possible out of their, from the services that they hire us for. So we've got the operational shifts. Right now I'm studying funnels and some marketing. We build these trucks and we're going through a redesign on our truck bodies. Right now we got a video training and testing series that we're putting out. We have a partnership with a CRM called Workies that there's potential to expand out there. We have a service related to Home Advisor. There's potential to expand out there. There's an email, a cold outreach email. There's social media we want to improve on. So there's a million different things that we've got going on, and the question is what is the most important 2 or 3 things to work on right now? And it might be just through the next 90 days as well. So if you take your time and you sit there and you figure out what are the 2 or 3 things that I need to be working on at this very moment, and that's what I'm doing. The 2 or 3 things that I've determined that through the end of the year I want to finish studying this funnel marketing, because this is going to be an instrumental piece of our marketing plan moving forward next year. I want to continue studying some on social media, on understanding how better to do these podcasts, how better to run our YouTube channel, to how we can better do Instagram and Facebook and all the different social channels. That's going to be very important to me. And then the other thing is we've got kind of these operational improvements or operational shifts that we want to do. Into next year, I've already figured out what the first 90 days of next year is going to be. First 90 days of next year is going to be finishing up this truck body redesign, putting in a marketing plan that we'll release the details on moving forward for our business package service as well as our video training series, and then getting a consistent email campaign up and going. So what are your 2 or 3 priorities? Because if you're the way I was for years and years, I'd have this checklist right here. And this checklist that we have, it would be filled up that from top to bottom, everything would be completely planned out during times, with times of what you're going to do stuff. That's not necessarily the best thing. This is the full focus planner right here. This has the top 3 most important things right here for you to do that day. You do that, you add in a couple little things here and there. If you have any meetings, you schedule that out. And then other than that, you just make sure you completely follow through on everything that you're working on, and you're going to find yourself, you're going to be just much, much more successful. So I'm a firm believer on it's figure out what's most important, eliminate, look at your list of tasks, eliminate as much as you possibly can. Just get it off the list. You can shelve it for later and evaluate it for later. And then look at the remaining list, the stuff that you decided you have to get done. All right, what can you delegate out? And the thing is in order to delegate it out, you have to have somebody great and capable that can actually carry that out and take that off your plate. With our video training series, we've got a great guy named Matt. Matt's actually behind the camera right now operating. And I know we lay out what we want to accomplish, and he's going to be able to take that, and he's going to be able to work with the videographers we have underneath him, the editors and all, and really make it happen. And if you don't have that strong person, you're just going to have to eliminate a lot of stuff, and you're going to have to work on the most important things. And then as soon as you've made the money and you've been successful in those things, what's going to happen is every single quarter you're going to be doing a really good job on 2 or 3 things, and your income's going to be coming in once you take that income, you invest in those great people, and then all of a sudden you can get a lot more done. So you eliminate as much as you can, delegate everything else. If there's anything that you just don't have the capacity to get done, shelve it for later, and your business is going to be much, much more successful. Again, I'm a firm believer we can accomplish anything in life that we put our mind to, but it's not necessarily going to happen right now, and you must enjoy the process. You have to have fun along the way. If you don't have fun along the way, you're going to die by the time you're 40 years old, and you're not going to accomplish nearly what you can. Again, guys, I'm Lee Godbold. Appreciate you checking out this very first episode of whatever we're going to call this thing, this podcast. Maybe it's the No Compromise Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Hit that alarm bell to get notifications anytime we put something new up. Appreciate you watching, guys. Thanks.